What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here in this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys, I want to talk about the energy system in Splinterlands and how I believe there could be some added utility to other assets around the ecosystem in order to get more energy. Now, I know any kind of suggestion like this would be taking away from the idea of burning DEC for extra energy, which we, currently have in place. But I do think that it could be helpful for other assets. Now, there's two ways that we could go about this. And before I even jump into both of those ways, I'm getting this because, or I thought of this because it's paralleling somewhat similarly to what is going on with moon carts, where you need to stake certain assets within the game in order to get fuel, or at least get it at a faster rate. So as we look ahead, or as we look at Splinterlands now and see how this could potentially manifest itself into something, cool and unique, what I'm wondering is, how can we do it in a way that, everybody will be happy? And I know that's an impossible situation where not everybody will be happy, but here's the way that I'm looking at it. And it's a kind of like a 2x2 matrix, right? So the two ways in which you could provide additional energy to folks, right? Outside of buying energy straight up for DEC is, let's say you have a certain amount of X, Y, or Z, and we're going to get into what X, Y, or Z is. You could give people an additional energy. So right now you get 24 energy per day. Maybe at that point, right, maybe your maximum energy increases, or you're able to just get an additional energy per day, right? At the 6 o'clock mark or whatever, 00 GMT, you'll get 2 energy instead of 1 if you have that amount of X, Y, and Z. The other way that you could do it is by reducing the time. So right now it takes an hour for you to get a new energy, right? So there's 24 energy per day. But you could reduce it ever so slightly if people have X, Y, and Z in their accounts, and then maybe it doesn't take 60 minutes. Maybe it takes 59, 58, right? So all of a sudden people feel like they're getting a little bit more value for what they have. Now, let's talk about the X, Y, and Z, because that's the other part of this 2x2 matrix. There's two angles in which I think you could approach this. The first, which I would prefer generally, is staked SPS. Set certain thresholds for, if you have this much staked SPS, you get an additional benefit when it comes to energy. And I know you already get other types of benefits and secondary benefits with vouchers and all these different things, but I really like the idea of just giving direct utility to SPS. I really like the idea of people looking at a target and saying, you know what, I want to have that much SPS, right? So make it, it's got to be something high, right? Maybe if you have like 100,000 SPS staked, then you get an extra energy per day, right? And I'm not looking at the math here. So 100,000 might be too small, or I don't know what the case is. Maybe it's 1 energy every other day or something, or extra energy every other day. My whole point with this is that you just make it so that it's a threshold where people want to reach it, because then they know that they're getting more opportunities. They're getting more, out of the game potentially than other people. And they take pride in that, because it's like, well, I own this SPS and I'm staking it. The other way in which I think you could provide some value, and this might be for the rest of the ecosystem as a whole, is to use the wagon system. So, you get people to buy wagons and then they stake cards, and maybe this is something they have to do after conflicts, although it'd be really cool if they could do stuff with wagons during conflicts, where it's like, okay, here's my wagon for the conflict, but here's my wagon to get more energy, right? And so I'm able to stake all of these extra Chaos Legion cards that I have, right? That nobody's renting because the rental market's kind of dead and they're just kind of sitting in my account. Well, let me stake all this collection power. And, maybe at a certain threshold of collection power with the wagons, you get an extra energy given to you, right? So again, is it perfect? Are there holes in it? Definitely, right? But I'm just putting the idea out there because it was sparked by seeing how the arcade colony, and specifically the moon carts white paper was handling the fuel situation, where you have to go and stake certain cards, and that will essentially determine how much fuel you get or how fast your fuel comes in. So I really hope that the team can take a look at this. Is it high priority? Probably not. But for those of us that have been around the game for a while, that have been collecting assets, it would be cool to give direct utility to either SPS or to help clean up some of the extra cards out on the market. I mean, somebody's going to run the math and be like, man, these commons going for, a penny, right? Like if I get a wagon full of all these common cards, it'll cost me 20-ish bucks, right? But over time, I will get I will get this much energy and I make this much on average, right? They're going to math the math out, right? And it'll be interesting to see how many people take advantage of that just because we're all sitting on extra assets anyway. But this is just a quick idea here that I wanted to put out there. Again, as I was like digging through the Mooncart's white paper, just thought it could be something cool for Splinterlands as well to give direct utility either to SPS or maybe to some of the cards. Again, my personal favorite will be to give it directly to SPS, but I'm open to anything that would allow people to do things in the game either by holding SPS or holding more assets, using that, taking them off the marketplace, and getting rewarded for it with more stuff in game, right? Yes. Will that lead to rewards? Technically, yes, but you got to play, right? Or I guess you can have your bot play, but hopefully you understand where I'm coming from here. That is all I have for you guys in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.